Hey everybody, this is Veronica and
Samantha!
and this is episode 4 of the Wholehearted WOD. Today we're going to talk about fit shaming, and I'm really excited because we're going to talk about kind of the whole spectrum of being like very fit and muscular and kind of having that kind of feedback from people, especially as a woman, all the way to being fit but not necessarily looking the part and how that can affect you as well, and kind of our both experiences with it. And we also have some people who reached out to Sam over Instagram and some of their stories that we're going to share with you as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of those stories involves being pregnant while working out. And so we're really excited to talk about that. But before we dive in, Sam, why don't you tell us about your training week? Give us a little bit.
My training week. It's just been the usual, nothing out of the ordinary. I've been doing CrossFit during the day. I usually go to the noon classes, and then I'll pick a muscle group at night. So last night, I did the noon CrossFit yesterday, which was upper body.
Yeah.
All upper body.
I was so sad I missed it. It looked really fun.
Oh, you didn't make it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, so it was a ton of the ski erg, the rower, right into handstand push-ups, right into like 5 rope climbs at a time.
Oh. Sounds amazing.
So it was tough. A lot of people couldn't drive home. Their hands were just crab claws.
Yeah, I heard it was brutal. And I was like, darn it, I missed it. And they're like, what? Those are the funnest ones. Yeah.
Yes. So I did all that. And then last night I ended up training shoulders. And I was so unmotivated. I remember I was sitting in my office and I'm just like, what am I going to do? I don't want to do any overhead presses because I already did a lot of handstand push-ups. So I'll do a lot of accessory work. I'll do a lot of upright rows. I'll do a lot of lateral raises. If I do overheads, I do them with my elbows in.
Oh, okay.
So I try not to.
That's the only way I do them.
Really?
I've never done it. I don't think I've ever done it.
Oh my god, that's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a CrossFit thing. I don't know.
Well, this would be considered like a military press, so that's standard in bodybuilding.
Maybe it's because in CrossFit you're using those kind of lats and those muscles more.
But with the barbell, it's always this way.
That's a good point.
And handstand push-ups, it's technically this way.
That's true.
So, so last night I got like halfway through my shoulder workout and I was like, I can't move my arms more than normal. Like I had to like pick up my water bottle, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like I've been through heavy, crazy shoulder days before, and then, oh man, it was brutal. But other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. I did ride. We got to ride on Sunday, which was nice. So we did motos. We had a pretty good group.
What exactly does motos mean?
It'll mean if you do like you could either break your motos down into laps. So you're gonna do like a 3-lap moto, a sprint, and then take a break after that. So it's we have this little sand track that we go to. That's pretty local. Yeah. And the woods loop maybe takes somewhere between maybe 5 and 10 minutes a lap. So you could either do like a 30-minute moto. You could look down at your watch and just go all out for 30 minutes. Or you can go, okay, I'm going to go do 3 laps, take a breather, do 3 laps. Okay,
so it's like high intensity intervals, things like that.
Basically, yeah. So sometimes we go on trail rides. So that's just casual, farting around. You see a hill climb, you do it, you chit-chat. So there's those days. Okay. And then there's training days where you're like, okay, I'm going to moto, or I'm going to, Ryan does them a lot. He'll do like hour motos if he goes out on his own. Okay. I get bored, so sometimes I do put my headphones in under my helmet. Okay. And I have a dirt bike riding playlist.
Oh, you do?
I do. It's the hammer emoji and it's the down symbol, so it's like hammer down. It's a dirt bike thing.
So when you do listen to things, is it always music, or do you ever listen to like podcasts or things like that?
Not when I'm riding. Okay. When I'm lifting lately.
Okay. Yeah.
Lifting music is so boring to me. I'm so sick of every song. I'm so sick of. I overplay songs until I hate them. It's a bad habit.
Oh, Jordan does that. It drives me nuts.
So lately, when I lift, I have been listening to podcasts. Okay. Or I'll listen to nothing at all and try to get in and out. Like lifting. This is at crunch. Not this isn't CrossFit.
Yeah.
But when I ride, it's either you're in your own head for all that time, or sometimes I'll pop in headphones. I don't like to do that either sometimes because it's hard. You can't really hear the bike shift, or like it could be weird, or if someone's yelling to you or someone's in trouble, like it's a whole thing. But no, other than that, pretty good. I'm trying to get a little bit better at counting my macros. It's kind of getting boring because you know what I mean? Like you do it for so long and then you have that one day where you're like, I'm not counting them. I'm so sick of this.
And then you make up for all of the macros.
And then the next day you're like, oh,
yeah.
I feel heavy.
Yeah.
When you go off just a little bit, I feel it. So I've been trying to get a little bit stricter as the race season is approaching and with Spartan season approaching. So, other than that, I can't really think of anything out of the ordinary with my training. How about you?
Yeah, well, you might be able to hear I'm like a tiny bit sick, but it's weird because I don't really feel it until I work out. And then I'm like today at CrossFit, I was dying and I was just like, I should be able to lift these weights, but it's just what you want to do and what you can do sometimes just aren't the same thing. So I had to suck it up and I went so slow in that workout. It was ridiculous. I got like one round and like most people got like 4 rounds. It was just bad. But
so when you mean slow though, you do the handstand walks.
Yeah.
That's what it required today.
Yeah. So today was handstand walks. It was handstand walks and then front squats. And you could choose between a heavier front squat or a lighter one. And I was like, well, I've been wanting to work on my strength a little more, so I was like, let me do the heavy front squat, but it felt heavy. And my handstand walks, I feel heavier lately too, so my handstand walks just felt like my shoulders were just burning out so fast. And I just sometimes the balance is just not there, plus being sick, like I had all this phlegm, and it was just you know, one of those workouts where you just do your best and that's okay.
So but when you mean slow though, some people will be going way faster than you because they won't be doing the handstand. They'll be doing bear crawls. So when you say slow, it just means slow for you. Yeah. Not slow in overall terms.
Right, yeah, slow for me because in a handstand walk workout, I'm going to be going slower anyway because I'm not very good at handstands. But for comparison, like that 50-foot handstand walk, I think when we did it a couple weeks ago, it took me like 2 minutes to do my first 50 feet, which is a long time.
Okay.
And today it took me like over 3 minutes to just do my first 50-foot stretch because I was falling so much and just not feeling it. So for me, it was slower, but I'm okay with it because I'm not feeling great and still got my workout in.
And you could have scaled.
Yeah. I actually went to scale in the middle, and Bob's like, just whatever, just leave it. It's fine.
Really?
Like, all right, yeah.
Give you an option.
No, I mean, it made sense because of what the next things ended up being.
Okay.
But basically, I've been running a little bit more lately, just because I like to say that I hate running, but I actually just made a video today about like mental toughness, and one thing that I've realized is
so watch that, people.
Yeah, that'll be probably by the time this is up, I'll have that up on my YouTube channel. But basically, what I've realized is a lot of things that I hate them because I'm not good at them. And once I get good at them, I start to enjoy them more. Like that's how I was with burpees. I used to hate burpees, then I got good at them, and now I actually really like when they come up in workouts because
it's a thing.
Yeah. So I'm realizing that with running. I used to actually enjoy running when I did it more often. I was good at it. So I just keep telling myself, I don't hate it. I'm just not good at it yet. And that gives me the motivation to like do it, get out the door and do it more because I do overall feel a little bit better when I run more. It's not like I want to run more because like I want to slim down. It's like I just want to run more because I don't know. I just feel like that kind of cardio piece makes me feel better.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's anybody getting into fitness. It's, oh, I don't like this. Well, maybe it's because you need more practice, not necessarily you hate the movement itself.
Exactly, yeah. So that's about sums up my week. So I really want to dive into those people that sent you like their stories. I know we had one woman who talked about her experience playing basketball in college, right?
Yes. So that's pretty cool. I actually did a little poll and I said, have you ever been fit shamed before? And way more people, one person said no.
Yeah.
Everybody else said yes.
Yeah.
And it was a good amount of people. And
I was surprised about that actually.
It is everything from dirt bike riders to normal, average, everyday people that go to the gym.
Yeah.
So this is a huge topic. I feel like we are going to try to do justice to every level of fit shaming. So the reader questions that I did get is this woman talking about, she's a personal trainer herself, and she's also a referee for women's college basketball. She had to go to camps for tryouts. The evaluators told her she wasn't fit enough to work in the D2 women's college basketball, that she needed to slim down and look the part.
Oh, so she was working as a referee, or that's what she was trying to do, and they told her not necessarily that she wasn't fit enough, but she didn't look fit enough. She
That's
had to
crazy.
like, which is
Who are you to tell someone you don't look slim enough? We're looking for someone fitter, but they might not have the background or the smarts that she has.
Well, and what's crazy about it is like, we talked about this a little bit, is that looking fit and being fit are two very different things, because right now I am not right now because I'm sick, but like this time in my life, I'm like the most fit that I've been.
Awesome.
But I probably look the least fit I've ever been, because the times when I've looked the most fit have been when I've really dialed in my macros, which I'm not doing right now. And like when I looked actually the most fit was when I was only working out a few days a week. I wasn't doing CrossFit. I was doing more like kind of like bodybuilding, but also like like kind of a hybrid thing, but only 3 days a week. And I was just so dialed into my macros that I just was so, you could see like I was very lean. And
Absolutely.
So I looked very fit, but I felt slow. I felt weak. And it's funny because looking from the outside, people are like, oh, like you're so fit now. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm worse. I just look really good. But like, who cares if you feel like crap?
Yeah.
And I think that's like what's really interesting about this. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
And then she just goes on to talk about how, you know, there are men on staff that are already bigger than her.
Oh, so it's kind of like a double standard because the men didn't have this expectation. Because, I mean, it's true. With men being bigger and having more, I guess, like meat on you is okay, because to men, they're supposed to be big and strong and burly. But women, it's like, no, you're supposed to be petite. And it's like, well, what if I'm a woman, but I want to be big and strong and burly?
Exactly.
Yeah. And like, and that's what is just kind of crazy about it, is like, not only just, it's just that kind of double standard, but also just this expectation that it doesn't make sense. Yeah. You're not, you looking fit isn't the same as being fit.
No. This woman's name is Melinda, by the way. So thank you for writing in.
Yes, thanks, Melinda.
She dropped a ton of weight, and then she just told me that she did it for her.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. I don't count my macros, and I don't work out this hard to look a certain way. I honestly do it because I'm so dedicated to my sport. And I tell all my clients, don't think about the training and the diet part, the nutritional part, as you have to do it because of the way you want to look. I tell them, you have to do it because I think everybody should consider themselves an athlete.
Right.
Whether you're walking in the gym and you're just running on the treadmill, or walking on the treadmill for 20 minutes and you're leaving and you're going home, consider yourself an athlete. And once you change your mindset to that, it's like, oh, now it kind of makes it okay to do these certain things and not be bullied for it. Yeah. And I really hate that, like, when you're young, people say, oh, well, it's bullying. And then when you're older, they call it being attacked. So why is it okay if kids could get bullied, and if adults get attacked, why is it under like a different radar?
Yeah, the connotation's slightly different. Because like you can, just the way it's phrased is like it, as an adult, it's kind of just like, it's also just kind of like, well, you should deal with it, or like, and to an extent, I mean, you know, because I have people telling me sometimes like, oh, like I can't believe how good you are at, say, CrossFit, because I don't necessarily look like a really good CrossFitter.
Which is crazy. Which people don't think before they speak.
Right. But it's like,
know.
For me, I don't take it the wrong way. Like, I understand that they mean they're just surprised, and they just like, that's what they mean. But if I were more self-conscious about it, or if I wasn't as comfortable in my skin, I'd be like, what the hell? You know, like, okay, like that was kind of rude.
Absolutely.
And that's with anything. Like, it's also just and that's why you have to be kind of careful with, like how you compliment people and knowing who you're complimenting, because if someone says that to me, like, I do take it as a compliment. Like, oh, I'm surprised, like, how fast you move. Yeah. Just because I know that they mean it out of a good place. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, somebody else might not.
And then there's a whole other side of the spectrum that we'll get into, but also the people that lost weight, but for bad reasons.
In an unhealthy way. Yes, that's huge.
Either in an unhealthy way, or they have a medical problem,
Mm-hmm.
they have a disease, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh my God, you look great. You lost all
Mm-hmm.
this weight. You look fantastic. And in their head, their mental health is destroyed.
Yep.
They're being told that they looked great when they're at the worst of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that you got to nitpick what you say to someone, but if you really got to change your mindset, the person that the compliment is going towards,
Mm-hmm.
they really have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and it's like what I've started to try to do is learn how to compliment in the right way, like especially at CrossFit, complimenting someone for what they're achieving, like
Yes,
oh,
their goal.
yeah, like oh you got bar muscle ups or you're getting stronger or this and that, instead of saying like oh you look better, because that's
crazy.
Yeah, it's just
you
not.
Just can't. I mean,
Yeah.
if that really is their goal, like
Right? If you're training for a bodybuilding competition,
Yes.
it's a little bit different.
Or someone lost inches in their waist and they're posting on social media of
Right.
their pants and they feel better and they're
Mhm.
really excited that their abs are starting to show,
Yeah.
then go ahead and compliment them because they worked their ass off, especially
Yeah.
a woman.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get lean and get abs and get
Oh, yeah.
muscular. It's so hard for us to do anything with
Mhm.
fitness that
It's very true.
then it's okay to
Yeah.
compliment them. Or it's okay to comment on their post like, oh,
Mhm.
you are goals.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or-
If that person made it clear that they are okay with it, they want it to be there. But yeah, and I like too that you mentioned with like medical stuff or just mental issues, because there are people that go the reverse way too, right? Like they are normally pretty fit, pretty like fit looking, and then maybe something happens with their health and they start to put on weight, and then it's
Yeah.
like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of felt like that when I got my gallbladder and I wasn't working out. I didn't work out for like a month, and I felt like, are people going to be like, oh, like, you know, she just gained all this weight? But no one ever said that to me. I don't know if they were
Yeah.
thinking it, but you just get in your head of like, well, people are going to judge me now because I don't always look this way I'm supposed to look.
Yeah.
And in reality, like, most people aren't really thinking about you that much. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
If you think about how often you think about other people versus yourself,
Yes.
it's really not that much time. And so
No.
other people, it's the same thing. There's all these other people they're thinking about, including themselves. And it's just not worth your time to worry about what those other people are thinking about you.
Absolutely. I have a client he was started off super overweight, you know, over 500 pounds, and he lost 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Looks fantastic. He gets compliments all of the time. I tell him all the time that he should go get his personal training certification because he listens. His form is spectacular. And the shitty thing is if someone walked into a gym and, you know, he came up to a new member or a new client, they're going to be like, they're going to judge a book by its cover. And, you know, I think that's stopping him from getting his cert, that self-doubt that he won't get clients, where I'm trying to tell him, well, no, that may not be the case, because you're going to have big muscular men that want a trainer, or you're going to have people that just want to be whipped into shape, or you just have people that want to feel better.
Or him, you know, 6 months ago or however long ago it was that he had all that extra weight, and someone walking in might see someone like you and be very intimidated because it's like, wow, that's so far from what I am right now, and get kind of like, I don't know what that, like, that kind of scares me. Whereas someone like him, a little bit closer to their goal, is a little bit more approachable.
Absolutely. And then he's been through it. I haven't. So where I could speak from my knowledge, he could speak from experience. And they would appreciate that so much. Like I would want, me specific with my goals, I would want a coach that, you know, started off, you know, skinny and then built this sculptured body of herself. I would look forward to that, where maybe someone that needs to lose weight would really look forward to a coach that they could bond with in a way of talking about weight loss and the mental health of it and the struggles. Yeah,
and like for someone like me, I mean, I can't relate to someone who started off as like really skinny, built up that muscle, because that's not my experience. I've always had a little bit more weight, and I've always been on the end of trying to like not let my weight go too high. And so it is very different audiences, and I think that's what people forget. And what I hate too is like, I'll see a lot of personal trainers who have always looked very fit. Like since they were a kid, they've had abs, and like they don't have to. Some people don't have to work at it. There are some people that like it's just natural for them to have, and now they're trying to like personal train these other people that very different situations than them. They have very different body types and genetics and mentality and just ways of doing things, and it just that kind of bothers me. I'm like, you're trying to look like this person that it's just so natural for them. Like, that's not
Yes.
attainable for you.
I'm so glad you said that, and I feel the same way with all these like Instagram models and online coaches. Some of these girls, I'm like, if you scroll all the way back down, and trust me, we do, you see that they were always like super thin, and they were the cheerleaders, and they were in sports their whole life.
And there's nothing wrong with like being thin, having good metabolism, just having that. It's just when you're trying to coach somebody else to get what you have, that it's not possible for them, making it clear their expectations. Like, look, I can help you get to your best, but I can't help you look like me. And that's a big difference. Like, if I'm being trained, even by someone with your body type, like my legs are naturally very big, and like they really can't get much smaller. Like they don't, unless I stop walking. Like that, like they just are always going to be big. And so you setting that expectation for me, like, oh, I can help you in these areas, but your legs are always going to be a little bit bigger, just because that's how your body type is.
You have to be realistic. And then just some of those online coaches are like, I can build the body you want. Well, and then have you seen them in person? Because when you see them in person, you're like, they're way tinier in person than you think, than these online personas. Yeah,
it's just everyone, like when you take pictures in reality, it's always going to be different, and just not trying to sell someone something that's not realistic for them. And I mean, it's interesting that I think it was Melinda sent you that story, because I had like a similar experience with that, but more internally, where when I started getting better at CrossFit and I started really loving it, I realized like I would love to coach this someday. But I always had this idea in my head that I have to look a certain way before I can do that. Like I have to look, someone has to walk in the gym and be like, she's a badass, I want to be coached by her. And I was like, I need my muscles to look a certain way. Like I need to look like a games athlete. But in reality, like that's not what people are like.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like if you can, as long as you can coach someone and get them better, like that's all they want.
A good coach is book smart.
Yeah.
A good coach doesn't just focus on their appearance. A good coach reads up on the latest fitness articles. A good coach is very, very book smart, I think.
And it's funny too, because like I will have every once in a while people come up to me who I know now for, they're my good friends now, but they'll tell me, when I first met you, like I was so intimidated by you, or like clearly complimenting like how I look from the outside. And I at first I'd always be surprised, because I'm like, I don't think I look that like strong or capable or whatever, but it's kind of sad that it took other people telling me that enough times for me to realize that
it's a level of fit shaming. Yeah. And there are so many levels to it.
And doing it to yourself. Like, I think for a lot of people, it's not even other people doing it. Because for me, no one ever told me you can't be a CrossFit coach until you look a certain way. I just had this idea in my head. No one told me that. I just thought, well, if people are going to listen to me, but it's not the case.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So it's really funny, but I don't know if I told you the first time that I ever did CrossFit, when I first stepped into 570, I went there in a giant hoodie, and I went there in like not tight pants, normal sneakers, because I really wanted to get a feel of the community aspect in it. I didn't want to get a feel of like, oh, she looks fit, so we're not gonna coach
she
her
can
as
take care of
well.
herself.
She has this, or she's probably done something like this.
Which like
before.
Knowing their gym now, they wouldn't do that. They'd probably say like, oh, what do you do to make sure to understand? But there are gyms that will do that. Like, oh, you look fit, you can take care of yourself.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
So I didn't want that experience to be my first time. So I had like a full hoodie on. I went through the workout. I had so much fun with it. And then after the workout, I remember taking my hoodie off just to breathe finally. And the coach was like, oh, you're like in really good shape.
Yeah.
And it's not bad that I went about it that way, but I wanted a full experience as like a normal person. I didn't want a full experience as an athlete. I just wanted to see what it was about for the average everyday person that just wants to exercise. And then you could get fit shamed in that way as well, because it could be like, oh, well, she looks fit, why can't she do this?
Exactly. And it's so funny, because like I feel like we kind of have those opposite experiences where like a lot of workouts at CrossFit, like we go back and forth. If the workout's like heavy in pull-ups and stuff, like you'll crush me. But if it's more like the weightlifting or other more CrossFit specific movements that I've done more, I'll beat you at them. And it's just kind of funny because you would think by just looking at us, like, you would probably destroy me in most workouts. But it is so funny because people get surprised. They're like, oh, I surprised you did so well in that workout. And I used to get self-conscious of like doing too good in certain workouts because I was like, people are going to think I cheated because I don't look as fit as the other people.
My mind.
But it's
because you're in your own head and you're fit shaming yourself.
Mm-hmm. And like, crazy. It's just crazy because like, yeah, maybe some people are thinking that, but not the people you care about. Like the people that are your true friends and the people that you want to surround yourself with are not going to be thinking those things.
And chances are nobody's really looking at you while you're in a CrossFit class.
Yeah.
They're focusing on themselves.
Yeah. How often do you look at other people? I always get very surprised when people tell me they like saw certain parts of me during the workout because I'm like, I literally don't pay attention to anybody.
Everything's a blur.
Yes, everything's a blur.
The barbell.
Just my barbell. Yeah, like the barbell, the rope, the bar, like honestly, everything else is a blur. Yeah.
During yesterday's workout, I actually was thinking about it. I was on the ski erg and there's people in front of me on the rowers. And I'm like, I had my hair down, so it was just bouncing everywhere. And part of me was like, I bet you no one even notices. I bet you no one even cares. And I love that.
Yeah.
Because I don't, I think it takes a while for you to get to that level of being like,
definitely,
nobody cares. They're all dying. You're all focusing on yourself. You're all suffering together. So it does take a while to get used to. So if you feel super self-conscious now and you feel like someone is fit shaming you in either a positive or a negative way, chances are they're in their own head and they're not focusing on you.
Yeah.
And that could be the same for a commercial gym. An overweight person walks in and they think everybody's staring at them. We're not.
Yeah. Like,
honestly, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You're in the place to be at.
And that's what I think is hilarious when people will ask me, should I start CrossFit? A lot of times they want to, but they're scared because they don't look. They're like, oh, I need to get fit before I start CrossFit.
Oh,
and I'm like,
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, it's like, well, the point of any exercise is to get fit. So like, if you're already fit, what's the point of going to CrossFit? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And also, I have people that like will ask me, should I do CrossFit because they want to look like a CrossFit athlete? It's not, oh, I'm interested in trying this new sport. It's like, oh, will that help me look the way I want to look? And my answer to that is like,
no.
Maybe not. Like for me, I look exactly the same. Well, I mean, my arms are more filled out, but like overall, my body doesn't look that much different than when I started CrossFit. Like I'm a little bit more filled out, but like I'm not like, I don't look like Catherine David's daughter. Like I don't look like a games athlete. And that's just, it depends on how you view food. Cause for me, like I've done macros before. And like you were saying, like for me, the way I did the macros really consumed my thoughts. It was really unhealthy mentally wise. And so every time I think about maybe doing something similar, I get nervous because I'm like, well, I don't want to get back into that place.
It gives you that anxiety of this is where it could be.
Yeah.
It's really a skill set.
It is,
and I wish more people thought about it that way. It shouldn't be a bore.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a chore. Yeah. It shouldn't be homework. It could be, once you get good enough, it could be just a way to keep you on track, and it could be a way of knowing where you stand. And it really is a learned skill set. And if people change their mind to, okay, I have this learned skill set, I'm going to keep it with me forever. Or people have this sucks, I hate this. And I do have days where I'm like, no, I'm going to track my food because it's what I do as an athlete. And then the other day, I write mine in a notebook, by the way. And this is a little bit off topic, but I don't like using the app because I eat almost the same foods every day. So I get a notebook and I write all the foods that I normally eat in the beginning of it with the macros. So I can just flip a page and pencil it in. Flip a page, pencil it in. The date, the time. And then I'm not on my phone more than I have to be.
Oh, yeah. That was what made it bad for me is like,
same.
I was on my phone all the time and it was just to log my food. And it was just like, why am I doing this?
So how that transitions into fit shaming, when I used to be obsessive with logging my food even more than I am now. Like now I'm pretty relaxed. I'll pencil it in when I get a chance. And I have an idea in my head because
I've seen you eat fries.
For so long. But when you're at a restaurant and your friend or your buddy whips out their phone and they start typing in everything, you know the other person on the other side of the table is rolling their eyes at you.
And it's tough too. Like when I was doing I did it 2 different times. One time I did it like on my own, just in my fitness pal, just logging calories to just try to like slim down
Yeah.
for rowing. And I didn't tell like anyone, and I didn't tell Jordan. We were dating at the time, and well, we still dating, but whatever. We had already been dating.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him I was doing this, but we would go to the dining hall. I'd get my tray, and I'd be typing in my phone like the first 5 minutes. And after like a few weeks of doing this, he was just like, "You're always on your phone. Like, why don't we talk or whatever?" And I was like, it's because I'm like doing my food, but I couldn't tell. I didn't want to tell him because I felt weird about it, or like, and it's funny because he didn't see that side of it. Like sometimes people will just see the end result and they're like, oh, why don't you do that again? It's like, well, you didn't see all the crap I had to go through mentally. I used to dream about my macro spreadsheet. That's how insane it got. Like I did it in a spreadsheet because I'm a little bit more digital and like analytical.
You are.
Yeah, which is a blessing and a curse because with macros, like I would literally, if I ate like a little, those fun size candy bars like the size of a square, I would put that in and then I would subtract what I had for dinner that night. I would take out macros from there so that I didn't go over. And it's like, that's the most unhealthy way you can do it.
It could become very obsessive.
Yeah.
It could be. I'm not that crazy with it. I just want a rough idea every day.
Yeah, which is good. Like, so now what I try to do is just build healthy habits of like eating less food that I know I shouldn't be eating because it's not good for my body, and just trying to keep in mind, like, if I have a harder workout, I'll eat a little bit more because I have depleted resources. If I had a lighter workout, I don't need as much food as I would if I worked out heavier.
Yeah.
But
you do learn your body, and then over time you pretty much eat the same things every day. So if there's a day where I don't track it, I have a rough idea in my head of like, oh, well, I had this for breakfast yesterday, or I had this for lunch last week. I kind of have an idea. So you don't have to become obsessive with it, but that's a whole nother level of fit shaming when people know that you're counting your food.
Oh, yeah. Because they either think like, oh, like you care that much, or it's just like, I don't know where it comes from, but it's just kind of this judgmental place. And like, you count your macros and I don't, and it's fine. We're friends. Like, we understand why the other one does and doesn't.
And and I'll go through spurts. If it's coming up on my off season for racing or whatever, I'll be a little bit lenient with it. I won't worry about it. But now that I know race season is approaching. Yeah,
that's big. I think for a lot of people is with dieting just in general, like it can go in cycles. It's okay. Like in the winter, it's okay to be eating like those heavier foods and like kind of bulking up. And then in the summer, eating those lighter foods and like slimming down a little. People like beat themselves up because in the winter they look different in the summer. It's like that's natural because we just as humans, like we're gonna bulk up a little when it's cold, and
women especially, we fluctuate so much. Like I'm petite and I fluctuate between 5 and 10 pounds. That's a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
So it's okay if the scale's up one week and down the next week and really down the next week and then up again a little bit. Like it's a constant battle. It's a constant roller coaster. So if you see someone tracking their food, they should, be applauded in a way because at least they know they're being a little bit more responsible for what they put in their system. And
it depends how you view it. Yeah.
It does.
Like if you're doing it to eat healthier and eat less of that junk and like just be more mindful about it. That's when it's really good. When it's bad is when it's like that flexible dieting where it's like, well, I just need to stay under this many calories, but I can eat cake and donuts.
Yeah.
Then it's like, what are you doing? But
then it's like you're not. So I always say your body's not a trash can. Your body's a high performance machine. So what would you do to? Yeah. What would you do to fuel it? You're not going to put cheap gas in a high performance sports car. You're going to put the best fuel in it that you can. So why aren't people treating their bodies that way? Especially if they're an athlete. If they're a regular CrossFitter or if they're a regular gym goer, to me, you're an athlete. I don't care if you're a mom of 4 and you get to the gym and you only have 30 minutes to do this workout class, or you do a little bit of something and then you run home. Think about it as being an athlete. And then, like I said, your whole mindset is going to change of everything towards fit shaming and judging people around you.
Yeah, and actually, I think now's a good time to segue into another person that reached out to you on Instagram about working out while being pregnant. Because that's a very judgmental place for a lot of people seeing that and really just having these misconceptions about it and just judging people so hard for working out while pregnant.
Well, women.
Yeah, right. Not men. And what I find is hilarious.
But it's men that'll do it.
Yes, or people who've never been pregnant before.
Yes.
People who aren't doctors. Like, if you're none of those things, like, you really have no place to, like,
No.
judge someone for doing that. And
Absolutely
also,
not.
everyone's in a different sort of situation. Like, maybe you were pregnant and you couldn't work out because, like, I have a friend who she got pregnant, she couldn't really work out because she had, like, an issue with it, and doing too much, like, movement would cause
some complications.
Yeah. But other people, it's like, no, it's perfectly healthy for you to be lifting heavy weights or running around and doing all this stuff.
And there's so much, if you go to a CrossFit gym, there's so much your coach will do to make the workout safe for you. But if you have a personal trainer, or if you just go to a commercial gym, or you take a workout class, there's so much that we can do to modify. Like you said earlier, we were talking about like burpees. A pregnant woman's not going to go all the way down to the floor doing burpees. She'll do a push-up off a box or a wall. She could, instead of a jump, you could do a calf raise. Like, there's a whole nother world of modifications that you could go through.
And the key is, like, these women who are working out while pregnant, they're consulting their doctor. Like, none of these women are, like, doing irresponsible things and, like, just doing whatever they think they can. It's like, talk to your doctor, they tell you what you can and can't do, and then you go and do those things. And no one from the outside knows what your conversations with your doctor are. So the fact that you feel like you can judge them for doing that is just kind of crazy.
And you're going to know your limit. Maybe, I'm not saying that there aren't women athletes that take it a little bit too far with pregnancies.
Right, that could be it, yeah.
There absolutely can be. There are people getting off of injuries that go through rehab for their injury, and then they go right back to where they were. So it could be the same thing with pregnant women, just the idea of like, well, I'm still going to try to RX this, or I'm still going to try to push my limit. So there's that other side of the spectrum, but it's basically like movement is good for you, any sort of movement. I have a pregnant client that wanted me to do aqua Zumba with her. And I'm like,
that's
hell
cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's so fun because it's a low impact thing. You're getting a great workout in. You're having fun. Why on earth would you just sit home and hermit yourself just because you're pregnant? If you love to go out and you love to be with people and you love to exercise and do all these things, don't let people fit shaming you for working out, being pregnant, stop you.
And also the opposite, like we just talked, if you're early in your pregnancy and maybe people don't know as much, or just you're whatever, however long in your pregnancy, and for some reason you can't work out or you have to, certain things, if you're someone that normally works out a ton and now you can't at all, being okay with that, and because other people might judge that too, like, oh, now you're pregnant, like you're just sitting on your butt. But it's like, that's not, you don't know that person's situation and why they're doing what they're doing.
And you also don't know the person's situation of the person that is fit shaming you.
Right.
Maybe they had a brother or a sister that couldn't, and they're talking from their own experience, or they're talking from their family's experience, or my sister hurt her back doing this and this and this and this, and they're gonna give you all these other thoughts in your head, but you literally just have to have tunnel vision. You got to listen to your doctor, you got to listen to your body, and then go from there. And then like a writer type named Susanna, she said she dealt with this a lot while she was pregnant. And then after she had babies too, people would tell her, you shouldn't work out while you're pregnant, right? You'll hurt the babies. Even after she confirmed with her doctor, she said staying active throughout her pregnancies, even her twins, helped her labor go by so smoothly. And she was able to lose the extra baby weight so much sooner than she would have not being active.
And, it's funny. I was actually just thinking about that whole baby weight thing, because I think that's also a big place for fit shaming, or just feeling this expectation of, well, I had my baby. Now there's a certain amount of window that I have to like bounce back and get back to where I was. But again, that depends on the person. Like if you gained like 50 pounds in your pregnancy, it's going to be and it could be, because you couldn't be active during pregnancy. It could just be because you had a lot of hormones and you gained weight more so than other people would. Like, could be for any reasons, but then you feel like, oh, well, like within, 3 months, I have to have abs again. But it's like, that's also dependent on the person. And just because somebody else bounced back in 2 months doesn't mean you can. And I mean, obviously not of us have experienced that, but I see that a lot.
And this goes for like, not this is the same category, but this goes for people with injuries too. they'll get fit shamed for trying to work out a different muscle group while they have a foot injury.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or they have shoulder pain, so they'll do legs. Like, it's okay to just keep chugging along and doing the opposite muscle group.
Yeah.
Who's that famous CrossFitter that's pregnant right now?
Annie Thor's daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and it's interesting, actually. So she posted a video of her doing, like, really heavy deadlifts, or a video.
I love that.
Yeah. And I was, like, curious. I was like, I wonder what people are saying about this. And surprisingly, it was all very positive, which I guess isn't that surprising, because if you're following her,
she's a beast.
You like her. Yeah, she's insane. But what's interesting is I think, a lot of women get very self-conscious about working out while pregnant. But if you look at Annie, I mean, she has abs, which, she had abs before. So, like, it's not like, oh, when I get pregnant, I'm going to get abs. It's like she's stayed doing her, obviously she's scaled and stuff, but she's still very active during her pregnancy. And people aren't really judging her because they know she's a high-level athlete. They know she probably has great medical care and people she's consulting. And
she has a whole army behind her of people telling her what she can and can't do, I'm sure.
Yeah, and, like, people know that, but then for, like, an average person, they're like, oh, well, you don't know what you're doing. It's like, well, maybe they have just as many people who are consulting. Like, you don't know.
You don't.
And so that kind of difference, like, holding professional athletes to a different standard than someone who just regularly works out. It's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, athletes are going to get fit shamed for it. Average everyday women just going to the gym and have a little baby bump are going to get fit shamed for it. Of course, their parents, mom and dad, they're going to look at them and be like, oh, don't do this, or like, but so it's a whole thing.
And it's funny because it's not like, it just, most of the people who are saying those things aren't people who live through it, because I think women who have gone through pregnancies are more forgiving towards, like, someone going through that, because they know that it's different for everybody.
Yes.
And so it's usually coming from someone who's never been pregnant before, non-doctors, like all these other people whose opinions you have to take, not even with a grain of salt, with no salt, like no grains, like just
no grains.
Yeah, they're coming from a place of a lot of times judgment, not from a place of genuine concern or like trying to help. It's
and fit shaming is a form of jealousy. It's a form of bullying. I don't like the term jealousy when it comes to fit shaming, because if someone was really jealous of me, it does in a way mean that they're not on my team.
Yeah.
And I want a team of badass people that lift each other up.
Yeah.
I don't want a team of people that judge other people.
Yeah, and I don't really think it's usually jealousy, because I think if someone is jealous of what you have, they're going to try to get what you have, not like shame you for what you have.
Or not. Yeah. They might not do anything about it, but they might under their breath be like, oh, she looks really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So it depends on people's mindset.
Yeah.
Like you said, no salt.
No salt.
No grains.
No salt.
And that's a good segue. So the pregnant topic, it's never going to go away. I think more and more women are finally realizing, oh, my pregnancy is going to go smoother if I work out a little bit or I do this.
If you can, yeah.
If you can, absolutely. So I think all in all, that's not going away anytime soon. I think it's just, you got to put tunnel vision, put your blinders on and do you, and listen to your doctor.
Yeah. And I think that goes for, in general, just that the kind of feeling self-conscious in general in terms of fit shaming, because I know for me, like, when I started to become really confident in my own skin was when I just stopped caring about other people, if they were looking at me or not, and just saying, I'm just going to focus on my performance and feel good, and whatever people want to interpret that as, like, it's up to them. Like, it's funny because I take my shirt off a lot in CrossFit just because I get hot and sweaty and it's just gross. And I started taking my shirt off a lot on the rowing team because it would get really hot. I was taking my shirt off and I didn't ever really think about it.
Yeah.
And then occasionally people will be like, oh, like, you're so confident taking your shirt off. And I never really thought of it as confidence. I'm like, well, no, I'm just getting hot in my workouts. I'm taking my shirt off. And so I think that change in mindset for a lot of people, it's like, it's not, oh, I'm going to take my shirt off because I'm confident. It's, well, it's for performance. Like, my shirt's getting in the way, or I'm sweaty and gross and I just want to take it off. And that kind of thing of just changing your mindset and how you think about
So that. You never had the feeling of So were always like confident with like, oh, I'm just gonna take my shirt off, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it was kind of just like I don't care, like, I'm taking it off because it's convenient for me. Like for rowing specifically, a lot of times my shirt would get caught in the slide, like because the seat moves, and so sometimes my shirt would get caught because it was too long. So it started off, okay, well, like I need to take this off because it's getting in the way.
It's hindering my performance.
Yeah, correct. And then like and so it didn't start in this way of like I need to show off.
Yeah.
And even now, like days when I'm feeling like I'm feeling fitter looking, it's not like, oh, let me take this off and show it off. And same with other days when I'm feeling heavier and I can see my gut a little more, I'll take my shirt off and I'm like, well, my gut's sticking out a little bit, but whatever, like people can think what they want, and no one cares. Like,
no, honestly. And everybody's swollen and puffy when you work out. You might look flat before the workout, and you might look like a giant red tomato by the end of the workout. Everybody's body just swells differently. It actually took me a while to go running on a hot day with just a sports bra on. It took me years of fitness and years of, and it wasn't just because I felt like I had to, but it was because I wanted to. I really wanted to. I wanted to be able to have the confidence to just run in a sports bra and feel confident and be super happy with my run. And it's, again, shirts are lightweight, so running, it's a different thing. Maybe you want to like get a little tan on your back, or there's, it actually took me a long time to be able to do that. And now when I think about it, I think it's so silly because now as an athlete, I really have that thought process, and I'm older now, so I'm a little bit more mature. I know nobody cares. Who's going to judge you? The dogs barking at you as you run by? Really? So now I have the mindset of like, if it's hot out, sure, go right ahead. The same mentality that you have now, it was never about, well, how does my stomach look today? It did take me, I think just being in a gym for so long and knowing that women really didn't take their shirts off, or some gyms don't allow it.
Some gyms don't allow, so when I go to, it's funny because when I drop into like another gym, I always ask them like,
that's
polite, are you okay? Yeah. And it's funny because most of the time they look at me like I have three heads. Like they're like, what do you mean do we allow it? Yeah, because when you do allow it, you don't even realize that other gyms don't a lot of times, and so they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, some gyms are weird, but like I get it. Sometimes it's because of the sweat or whatever, but yeah, it's like kind of interesting how some gyms don't allow it.
And then at our gym, guys aren't allowed to walk around shirtless, which makes sense. But you see women at Crunch, but you see women walk around with like tiny little booty shorts and sports bras all the time, and I'm just like, so you're allowed to get back sweat all over this machine, all over this bench, but he's going to get in trouble for it. Yeah. So there's also that fit shaming.
Yeah, and it's weird because that was the same. Well. Yeah, that happened on the rowing team. I remember the men's team at one point, like my freshman and sophomore year, they could take their shirts off, didn't matter. And then my junior year, they made this rule where like the guys couldn't take their shirts off on the water, and I was like, what? How does that even make sense? Like, you're not sweating up equipment. Like, they're doing it because they're hot and out of comfort. And I don't actually know where that rule came from, but it's interesting. It was for the guys, but the girls team didn't have that. Yeah. Which is just weird. There. Yeah.
And then at CrossFit, you pretty much could, because you're not really borrowing someone else's equipment.
Yeah. Like if I'm doing burpees or something on the floor, I usually don't take my shirt off just because I'll get really dirty. Yeah. But if it's
someone might be doing burpees there in the next class. Yeah. That might be back-to-back classes.
Right.
So it's kind of like courteous. But if it's like handstand push-ups and then barbell movement where you're not really touching anything with your body, then it's like, oh, well, then why not? Yeah. So it just depends on the courtesy factor. In a commercial gym, everybody's doing different stuff, so I could see it at that level. Yeah. But there is a thing at our gym where it's like girls could walk around practically nothing, and guys aren't allowed to take their shirt off, which I'd rather, like, keep your shirts on. Yeah. I'm not saying, oh my God.
Especially at a place like Crunch, because, like, you're not working up, like, this, most of the time, you're not getting this drippy sweat where you're just getting so hot, like,
Well, I don't know. The spin room is really hot.
That's
so if
true,
you're
yeah.
taking a spin class and you're drenched,
Yeah.
girls are taking their shirts off in my spin classes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have a bunch of guys in my spin classes now. I feel like this is like an ad for for Crunch, like ladies' night or something.
Yeah.
But the point I'm getting at is you're gonna get fit shamed no matter what level, no matter shirt on, shirt off.
Oh yeah.
Pregnant, not pregnant. And then I do want to speak on beginners being fit shamed because this isn't, like, disclaimer, this isn't an episode where it's like, oh my god, I'm so fit and I'm being fit shamed and people are jealous of me.
Right.
That's not it at all.
Yeah.
I see beginners walk into the gym and they're nervous, but they're excited, but they're nervous.
Yeah.
And they get fit shamed for maybe not knowing how to work a machine.
Right.
Or
they just think like people like I said, they need to be fit to go to a gym. But it's like
you're in the right place.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in the right place. You're not at McDonald's.
Yeah.
You are at a gym doing the right things.
Yeah. And like the personal trainers or the coaches get excited when new people come in because they like that. They like to see people bettering themselves and like making progress. So it's kind of not intuitive to think like, oh, people are going to judge me. It's like,
I don't think you're going to get fit shamed coming to me as a beginner.
Yeah, no.
I freaking love beginners. If someone comes up to me and they said, I want to be fit. This is my goal. This is the sport I'm in. What can you do for me? Or if they're like, I just need to lose weight. I don't care what their goal is behind that.
Yeah.
If they tell me that they are a beginner and they haven't lifted before and they haven't done any sort of physical activity movements before, I get so excited.
Yeah, it is
because
fun.
I could teach them the proper way.
Yes.
I could give them good habits.
Yep.
I could train their brain for muscle memory. It is so easy to train a beginner versus someone that has such bad habits and bad movement patterns, and they already have all these injuries and X, Y, and Z. So, don't ever feel like you're lost or don't ever feel like you don't know what is going to become of this. Chances are you're going to learn and you're going to grow and you're going to pass this down to your kids. You're going to pass this down to people around you. But I also tell clients, if they learn a movement and they're really good at it and they love it, they could pull a female aside in the gym and be like, hey, I noticed you're doing this. Can I show you a way my coach taught me? And that's a segue to maybe a friendship or someone being so grateful that you're showing them how to work a machine. I saw this woman struggling. She couldn't get the seat up on the one machine, so I came up to her and I showed her how to do it. And she was super grateful. And I just knew she was new. She was probably a New Year's resolutioner. Yeah. And I wish more people were like that. Yeah. Versus
just like open to it. Yeah.
Versus I'm not going to even do this because I don't know how to move the seat because I'm going to get shamed for it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when I see someone who, well, I guess someone who walks in the gym and is a beginner, someone who I know is a beginner, I'm like, good for you. Like, good for you for making this choice and for starting this, because at some point we were all beginners.
I was a beginner a year and a half ago with CrossFit. Yeah. And now when a beginner comes in, I'm like so excited. I'm like, finally, I am not the beginner anymore. Yeah. And I want to show them maybe cues that have helped me or introduce them to new members. Yeah. And that's the best part about it. Yeah. So being a beginner, there's a lot less fit shaming than you think. There's actually more of a community aspect.
Yeah, more of like a congratulatory, like good job for making this choice. Like, it's very hard to do.
Bring a friend so that if you feel alone and you feel like you're confused, bring a friend to the gym, bring a friend to your CrossFit box, and chances are those other people's eyeballs go away. Yeah. You're just looking at your friend. It's crazy how you could become your own bubble with each other versus feeling so open and vulnerable in this space. For sure. So the whole stigma with being fit shamed as a beginner, to me, doesn't exist at all.
Yeah, I think it's fit shaming of any sort is going to exist to some extent. Yeah. But I think with beginners, it's so much more in your head than in reality, especially when it comes to coaches and personal trainers and everything. We get excited about the beginners because it's, like you said, someone who's doesn't have these bad movement patterns, like teaching them something new. It's very exciting. Yeah, maybe from like some other members, but like they're the ones that you don't care about it because like they're insecure with themselves if they're judging you in that way.
Absolutely.
I think it's cool. So going from kind of that beginner to, I know we talked a bit about like that being a woman and being very muscular and how, I mean, this hasn't really affected me too much, but I know for you, like you've had some interesting experiences with people just
being judgy,
yes,
I guess.
Not nice.
And it's so funny because I'm not even that big. Like, I'm not. I feel like you go to a big gym or you go over to the West Coast where women are so, they have different trainers out there or they have different opportunities or they have a career where they can stay home and just be fit all the time. Bigger, more muscular women exist all over the place. Yeah. So it blows my mind that I don't think I'm that big.
To your comparison you're not, but to most people you are.
Yeah. So right before my wedding, Ryan got a text from a friend and it was like this, he goes, "Why is your fiance on this dude's Instagram?" And I found it and I clicked on it and this guy made a funny Instagram page, like a meme page per se. He only had a couple posts. I could see if it was, no, I can't even see this, but if he had like thousands of posts and thousands of followers and you did this, you're just looking for content.
Right.
This kid had only a couple posts and only a couple followers. So I felt triggered.
It was, and the posts were only of you?
There was a picture of me that was like a while ago. It was like me in a sports bra. My hair looked really pretty.
Oh, is that the one? It's like kind of wavy from above. That's my favorite picture of you. I was literally looking at that picture yesterday and I was like, damn, this is an amazing picture. I was like, I should tell Sam this is my favorite one. And it's crazy that that's the one he picked.
That's the one he picked. And the caption was, oh my God. The caption was something, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Oh boy.
The caption
I don't even know.
Funny meme page was, bro, you be calling her daddy.
Whoa. That makes me very uncomfortable.
Right? So Ew. As a woman, I find this motherfucker on his Facebook page. And I could definitely outbench him. I want to be like, you're picking on me? But the most mind-blowing piece of this whole thing was, you know how CrossFitters have that community aspect? Well, dirt bike riders do. And as a woman dirt bike rider, I feel like I do have a lot of respect. He was a dirt bike rider.
Oof.
I've never met him before. I've never even heard of him. I've never seen him. Weird. Ryan thinks he used to race against him. Not sure. Definitely just some weekend rider that got bored one day. I probably popped up on one of his search pages because I'm a dirt bike rider. Yeah. Probably saw my photo. Probably didn't even look to see, or maybe he did. Maybe he was like, oh, I'm going to make fun of this chick because she thinks she could ride dirt bikes. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just felt the need to make fun of me because of how I looked in the photo. Yeah. And, and then I reported it. It got taken down, and then someone else found the same picture on like another Instagram account of his. And I've had these girls, these girls that I never met before, the other female dirt bike riders, they're so savage. Yeah. They're like, I'm gonna message his sponsors. They're like, I'm gonna really give it to him. Like these girls, but that's like, I love that.
And that's what's awesome is like, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is like, for every one person that may be shaming you, there are so many other people that are just, they welcome you, they accept you for who you are, and just don't let one person or a few people really make you like get into your head and make you feel like,
And that never happened to me before. And it was right before my wedding. I was in like the best shape of my life. I was super like lean and I felt good. And I shouldn't be shamed for that, but he felt the need to. Yeah. And then this one time, years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, when I had my shaved head.
The ones you had like one side shaved?
Yeah, and the other side was just super short. I was super edgy.
I think I've seen pictures.
I hate long hair. It's crazy. I know. I'm growing it out, but I hate long hair. I hate under my helmet having something against my neck. I don't know how a lot of girl riders do it. They let their hair just fly out of their helmet.
Yeah.
I need mine tucked away, braided, hairsprayed. Like I don't want it on me at all. It gets covered in mud and all this other stuff. So I shaved my head. I loved it. I felt like I could work it pretty good. And then I remember people at the gym coming up to me saying that the one employee there was telling people that I looked like a man, I looked like a boy, like going around telling people this.
Yeah.
And then these people are coming back to me and telling me, so he just looked like the idiot. But that was the first occasion, and I wasn't even that big back then. Like, this was years ago. I have so much more muscle mass now than then. So it just really blows my mind of, like, that's what you think of me because I have short hair and I have muscles and I look like a dude. And he pops up in, like, some of my friends' stories because he's very relevant to the gym that I go to. So I just hate, like, seeing him. I hate, like, and I feel like he's the type of person where now he would like my pictures because I have long hair and I'm a little bit more girly looking and I grew up a little bit. So it's like, I just, and that for me sucked. Yeah, that's to hear.
And I think that would be a good topic for another episode, but about, like, this expectation for women to look good while working out and, like, wear makeup and not sweat too much and all that. And it's just, like, I never wear makeup, and when I work out, it's just, I don't care about that kind of stuff, but there are a lot of women that feel like they have to, but I think that's another episode, which I think could be cool.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But yeah, it really sucks when women get fit shamed for being muscular because we had to work twice as hard as any man to get there. We don't have,
it's so hard. And
we don't have the things.
Yeah, and it's like women that say, like, oh, like, I don't want to do CrossFit because I don't want to, like, get bulky, as if you're accidentally gonna get bulky. I've been doing CrossFit for 5 years, and, like, my arms didn't get filled out until I really focused on, like, doing that upper body and stuff. Like, I looked exactly the same for years, and I got really good at CrossFit. Like, I got much better, but I looked exactly the same because I wasn't deliberately trying to look different. And that's what it's so funny. People are like, oh, I'm gonna stumble into being bulky. It's like, it's so hard to do.
I don't want to look like you. Or I'd be walking by a gym the one day, and these two girls are working out together, and they're just like, oh, I don't want to look like that. And it's like, you won't.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't, like, okay, I don't want to look like you, but I'm not saying it. You know, like, you just keep it to yourself.
I don't
it's
say
fine.
That.
Like, it's fine if you have different goals, but just don't assume that other person wants to hear that negativity. Like,
especially if a woman has really good genetics and their nutrition is on point and their strength training, applaud them. Yeah. Like, they had to work twice as hard because we don't have all the things that guys have, but we have to put in a lot more work. Women naturally have fat around their stomach. That's women around their hips. That's how women are. And the fact that they don't have bigger hips or they have a smaller butt or they have a little bit more muscle shouldn't be a bad thing at all.
Yeah, it just depends on the person, their goals, and their body type and all that. It's just different for everybody.
That's crazy to me that men could fit shame women for having muscle. It blows my mind that they think they have the right to be like, this is how women are supposed to look.
Yeah, and I mean, it also can go the other way because women will say, like, oh, that guy's, like, so lanky or whatever. And, like,
that's
so
true.
It definitely does go both ways, and I think both
that's a whole
sides
level of the fit shaming.
Yeah, like, both sides need to be more aware of, like, just how a girl can be naturally thicker and, like, hard for them to slim down. A lot of guys are naturally very slim and it's hard for them to bulk up. Like, I have a lot of guy friends who they're very lean, like, they look really good, but they're so slim, and they talk about how they've tried to do macros. They've tried to eat like 3,000 calories a day, but it's just so hard. It's not maintainable. Like, they do it, they put on the weight, and then they go a week going to the regular diet, and then they lose it all again. So it's just not worth it for them for all that effort. And so I think for women to understand that, and also for men to understand that, you know, it's just different. Women and men, and even within each gender group, have very different body types, metabolisms, things like that.
And looking a certain way does not judge your fitness level. Let me repeat that. Looking a certain way does not judge your fitness level. So you could be scrawny and skinny and look like you don't work out at all. And then they might get on the bench press and slap on 45s and have perfect form and rep it out.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind will be blown because they don't look like this big meathead.
Yeah. Well, and it's even if you look at like any professional sports, but specifically if you look at CrossFitters, like CrossFit Games athletes, yeah, they all have abs, yeah, they all have big muscles, but if you look at the specific body types, they're all so different. Like some of these girls look like these petite gymnasts, and then some of them have huge arms, like a lot thicker, like maybe not even visible abs, and it's just because that's how their body type is. And it just, people just need to understand that like every body is different, and just because I do the exact same things you do doesn't mean I'm gonna look exactly like you.
No, or we have different fitness levels. So even for guys, you might be super fit, you might be super strong, and then put on a shirt, put on a t-shirt, and not look that way.
Yeah.
And that sucks too. And same with a girl. You might be a little bit heavier, and then people might think that you're just out of shape, and then you might be the fittest in the room just because of your fitness level. So you're going to get fit shamed no matter what. You're going to get fit shamed whether you're skinny. Like, you're going to get fit shamed whether you're...
Yeah, the same people that fit shame you for being too skinny are going to fit shame you for being too muscular or for looking heavier than you should. And like, it's the same person or people who are going to judge you no matter what you do. So there's no point in catering your decisions to them because no matter what you do, it's not going to be enough for them. But the people who don't care aren't going to care whatever you do. So just do what you want and like let the people talk how they want to.
And it's normal to want to know what people think. That's completely normal. It's normal to want to know people's opinion. So I remember the one time I went to this gym and we were doing like this fitness photo shoot, and you weren't allowed to show your tattoos. So I had to cover them up. So I had to wear a long sleeve. But I still looked fit under my long sleeve. Yeah. So this one guy asked me, just straight up, he was like, "Oh, are you a cheerleader?" I'm like,
and it's funny because most women
I ride dirt bikes, sir.
But it's funny because I feel like most women think like, "Oh, I'd love for someone to think I'm a cheerleader," but like you don't want that, and it's
like,
so
no!
So it's all about your own personal, what you want out of it, because some people might want that ideal cheerleader body, but.
And then last year, me and Ryan went to a wedding where I had like a sleeveless dress on, and we sat down at this table with people we don't know, and the guy's looking at me, and he goes, like not a normal person I guess would ask like, "Oh, hey, do you work out or whatever?" The first thing he said to me was, "So are you like a gymnast?"
Why are you getting these gymnast questions? I guess because you're like shorter.
And it was just because I was like, and I go, I really wanted to like feel him out. I was like, so why? Why do you think that? He's like, well, I mean your arms.
Your arms.
And then he goes, I'll never forget this. He goes, so do you like lift? And to me, that's such a bro question. Yeah. So I just leaned in and I was like, so do you lift, bro? And like I like had fun with it, but I was like, nah, I mean I'm like a hybrid. I kind of do everything now. I do CrossFit, dirt bike, bodybuilding. I don't even know anymore. Yeah. So all the things. Yeah. But a gymnast is not one of them. Yeah.
But it's funny because like he might have just thought like, oh, like she looks really good, like maybe that's what she does, and he maybe just wanted to start a conversation with you and didn't necessarily know how. So it's like, oh, are you a gymnast? So you don't know where it's coming from. Like a lot of times someone might say something to you that you take a certain way. This happens to me all the time where I say stuff to other people that I mean in a good-hearted way, and like, but the words I say are taken in a way I don't mean.
Because people want to know what other people think so bad, they overthink it.
A lot of times, yes. Or just my delivery, or just, I know I would take it a certain way that they wouldn't take. Yeah. Like, so a girl might say to you, like, oh, wow, like, are you a gymnast? In terms of, like, I would want someone to ask me that, but you don't want that. And so it's, like, knowing that sometimes people say things and you interpret it in a way they don't necessarily mean. Yes. And sometimes giving people the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, if someone's making a meme about you, they mean for in malintentions. Yes. But there are times when if it's your friend or someone, it's okay to be like, hey, like, did you mean it in this way? Because I kind of took it that way. Because sometimes that happens to me where they'll be like, oh, that's kind of rude. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that was rude. I'm so sorry.
You can't overthink it, and you can't overanalyze it. Yeah. But it's not the fact that I was offended. I wasn't offended by any means. I just thought it was hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
Because I have like this tattooed sleeve that's clearly showing I'm a little bit more muscular, and I just really wanted to turn his world upside down and be like, I'm a dirt bike rider.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait I couldn't get it out fast enough.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything, right?
I think so, yeah. Like we said, there's all different levels of fit shaming. So this isn't an episode of, oh, I'm so fit, feel bad for me and be jealous. It's more of an episode to open your eyes and be like, no, there's
It happens to everyone.
It really does.
Yeah.
There's the fat shaming to me is the same as fit shaming. I don't know why people call it fat shaming. I don't even like that term.
Yeah.
It's still, fat is a level of fitness.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because someone could look at me and think, oh, she's kind of fat, but like
oh
I don't. Well, I'm just saying, like it's true because I am thicker, but like I know I'm healthy, so like that wouldn't bother me. But someone else who doesn't feel that way, it might affect them a certain way. So just knowing that and knowing, okay, well, like sometimes some people just have more weight that they carry. You know, like we're the same height and we probably are 30 pounds different, maybe 20, whatever, a good amount different.
I don't know.
We'll talk about it.
We're going to step on the scale after.
Yeah.
But it's true that women do get fit shamed way more than men. Not saying men don't get fit shamed. They just get fit shamed in a different way.
Yes, yeah.
And they don't get fit shamed as much.
Yeah, and more shamed for not being bigger, whereas women usually get shamed for being too big.
There's all different levels of it. Yeah. That's so weird to me that people think they could judge your body. So I guess moral of our episode is just tunnel vision.
The people who are going to say stuff about you are going to say stuff regardless of what you look like. So that one person isn't, because that same guy that did that meme about you, if you looked differently, he'd probably still do memes. You know, he's going to do memes about somebody else who looks a different way. Like it's just when it comes from that negative place, they're going to find a way to release that.
They're going to find a way. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. They don't know your personality. They don't know that you might be the chillest person on earth. All they see is a photo. So they're going to take that information. Yeah. They don't know the way you speak. They don't know the way you sound. They don't know the way you think and your ideas and your goals. Yeah. So they can't play with that. They have to play with what is visible.
Yeah, what they see. Yeah. So, cool. Well, I think that was a good episode. Please, if you watch this far, that means you're a true fan. And comment below with what you want our next topic to be. Hi, Sam's dad. Comment below with what you want our next topic to be, or anything, questions you have. We'll definitely engage with you down there, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, if you've ever been fit shamed, we want to hear it.
Yeah, feel free to message us. Tell us about it. We like to hear stories, and we'll support you and give you our 2 cents if it's welcome.
Don't give in to the bullies.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace.